Now, please, Stan Bogdanov, who is the research director of Cybernetica. And the second reason to this evaluation, also the member of the steering committee, and the subject is about fundamental and applied research in the ICT area.
Yes, because I sort of guessed what Jürgo was going to talk about. So I decided I won't talk about that. I thought that I'll need something more different. Fundamental researchers and applied researchers. Jürgo touched upon that on one of these later slides, and lucky shot there, without seeing those, I managed to have a good follow-up to that. So in Estonia, you can make a joke. It sounds like this, that idufirma plus seemnekapital võrdub põllumajandus. In English, it doesn't translate as nicely, but idufirma in English is sort of like a sapling, sprout, seedling company. And when you have seed capital, you will get agriculture or agroeconomy at least. So in Estonia, that's a running joke, and Estonia is super proud of all the startups we have per capita, most money raised, all in all, trying to create value. There's these nice charts about how many taxes they are paying and so on. So this is good. This is something that our ICT should feed into. And the discussions that we were having in this ICT evaluation steering committee, not only in that committee, but all the years before that, in the IT Academy program, where I was one of the representatives of Estonian IT companies, was that the Estonian IT companies that we were representing there, not many of them were actually capable of internalizing the things that the universities were doing. So it wasn't just universities, it was also companies. At the same time, some of the startups might have had a better time at that, but the startups are not the member of the ICT Alliance in Estonia. Not many are, at least. So yeah, we had a bit of a disconnect there. But the thing is that with regard to paying taxes and hiring people and doing important stuff for the government, that ICT Alliance is also kind of important, not just the startups. So that's also a problem to be solved. And for them to be able to internalize research, they would need the skills and capabilities, possibly applied research, for which there is a nice program by Enterprise Estonia and so on. So things are getting better, but they're not there yet. So, and most of it today is me trying to beat that joke and see how far I can go. So one of my favorite writers, Terry Pratchett, has this concept in his books that ideas are particles in the universe and they fly around randomly, and maybe one hits your head and then you get an idea, and maybe that idea will lead into you building a sauna, or it will lead you building $1 billion startup. So it could go every which way. Possibly not Pratchett's idea, I just know it from him. So if you have an idea, then the idea can have many destinies. One of them is that they don't get the resources, they remain small. The sauna in your backyard is small, meaningful for you, but doesn't create much economic impact, unless that sauna is used to then think up $1 billion startup. Some grow up and create value. They are the nice companies, stable companies, possibly not the unicorn ones, but they are there, they create value, and they grow decently. They are the SMEs, let's say. And then the Minister of Economic Affairs and Communications would likely prefer the kind of tree that grows geese that make golden eggs. That would be the preferred outcome of this here, that. However, making that isn't just up to single people anymore. Right, so now we get to the research point. Fundamental research gives us options for creating this Tiit Riisalo's favorite tree from this sapling on the left. So for that, researchers use various kinds of things. They irradiate the idea, they inject it with stuff, they just look at it very hard, hoping that it will change, and things like that. Well, most of them work. Sometimes you get a result which is art, which happily is our next topic on the agenda as well. But sometimes it's art, it may not be without immediate application. It's a paper though, so it nicely works to enter Estonian Research Council's KPIs. If it's a journal paper, of course, the conference ones don't count. Next, results. Sometimes somebody comes up with an actual tree that has these kind of geese, but it's microscopic. I couldn't make it more microscopic because then you wouldn't see it on the slide. But sometimes the research gives you a microscopic, super good idea, but it doesn't scale industrially. So that could be a problem then. But then again, it's also a valid result. And then finally, sometimes the tree would take 1 billion years to grow up. And at some point, there's some problems that the solar system is going to have with the sun, and we might need to move out. So the idea might not have the time to grow up. So that might be problematic too. So what do applied researchers do? They do applied stuff. If the yield of the first innovation is small, they, just, can we mass produce it? Maybe it makes sense then. And for some things, it works. And sometimes, if you can't have that as working, then you can approximate from the pieces you can build. Instead of having a golden tree that has geese that have golden eggs, then you'll have a normal tree with doves that drop 50-cent euro coins or something like that. But if they do it at a fast enough rate, it's economy. So I would argue that in some cases, both of these cases have economic yield. And now imagine yourself as Tiit Riisalo or Kristina Kallas, you are the minister, you're trying to fund, you live in Estonia and you have a multitude of ideas. You have universities, you have private sector research, and you have just so much water on all of these saplings and trees. So the resources are limited. So you need to sort of have a curated set of everything that's going on. And some things are already close to becoming these billion-dollar startups. Some are research domains that have taken 20 years without any perceivable economic outcome yet. And that might be fine. Maybe it comes in 20 years. The thing is that if you blow all your ideas in 10 years, then what do you do on the 11th year? So there is a sort of a balance needed here. But that's the problem that we're having. So, and that's the last slide. I really thought I'll not spend too much time today here. But I can stay on this one for a longer time. So the problem I see is it comes from the Ministry of, the Estonian Research Policy Conference held at the Parliament some months ago. There was a panel, which I had the honor of moderating, where the head of Estonian employers, Arto Aas, said that companies need more PhDs, to which politician, former Minister of Education, Tõnis Lukas said, universities need more PhDs. To which I thought I'd make a joke, and the joke was that Estonia apparently still has, well, oil shale, but we've run out of PhDs. And then I understood a few days later that it's not a joke, it's sad. So getting more of these PhDs to go into these companies who could adopt the research that IT Academy likes produce in the future is necessary, because otherwise they can't. Sometimes with startups, it might be easier. But then again, the startup folks, they totally might skip that part. They might just go directly to doing this based on pieces made by others. So it's a question of sometimes you pick up fundamental research from other countries and then you build something in Estonia as a company, which is not bad. It's also good. It might make that most of the economic value is created here. But yeah, so having more fundamental research is the way, because I believe Estonia is a developed country and this is how developed countries should act. And also we have made a large long-term bid on digital economy and innovation. All this e-government thing that we're talking about, it's all based on ICT research. And that means that some of it should flow there as well. So funding that line is meaningful. Also, yeah, that's where our startups aren't really, are I think mostly IT based, at least the bigger ones. However, having more applied PhDs would mean that maybe the industry becomes more competitive. they are actually capable of internalizing and adopting all the research that the universities and private sector R&D companies are creating. And there's recently this thing that the economy has kind of become more important. Turns out that we need to buy artillery shells these days, meaning that there is a need to not only look in the long term, because the long term is a bit of a question mark. So you have to also look at the near term, a little bit at least, while making sure that since we are a developed country, we'll continue doing fundamental research in the long term as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Saving time. Any questions? Oh.
I will give you my microphone.
Not time to discuss in this committee to each other, so that you have in there a lot of questions.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Very good presentation. So I just have a combined comment and question. So kind of what you presented is that somehow the research ideas evolve into value-generating machines. But what about looking at it from another perspective? Is that looking at it from the need side? What do the customers need? What does the market need? And then connecting the dots there, because when you start from the idea, then you kind of hope that there is going to be a market or there is going to be a customer for that idea, for that whatever technology.
Yeah. That's if we did everything based on customer requirements, what was it? This sort of no,
not customer requirements, but market trends and general requirements of the society.
We would have built a metal horse, you know that joke, right? If somebody had to figure out that you need to build a car, not a faster horse. You need to build a car. So an idea has to come from somewhere. Yeah, well, if we started from that, then who makes the requirements? I think one of the sub-questions hidden in your thing is how good is the customer at asking for research? No?
As you said, if you would have asked the customers, and they would have asked for faster horses or whatever, metal horses. But what is a fundamental need? There is a need to commute. There is a need to move around. And so how do we address that need? So you need really smart people to understand the economic and social trends of what the economy might need.
Fair point. Then again, that's not the stuff that might be hot at the conferences right now. And that's a problem. Because if you want to, again, hit your KPIs with the cool paper counts and bibliometry, then you need to work on what's hot right now. And what's hot right now there might not be at all what's hot right now in economy, which is fine. But that means somebody has to do the work of coming in the second line, second echelon, and picking up all the stuff that somebody has written the first papers on, and then taking, okay, now we look at, okay, here's an economical societal need, now I need to actually build it out, and that's the slide with the doves on the oak tree. That somebody just tries to build something based on what has been built before, and then maybe 50 years later somebody comes and finds a use for the other stuff. Because number theory was totally useless before cryptographers came along. Sorry, not useless. You could, beautiful theorems, and I really loved the course in the university. I almost got an A, almost.
One question more there, but it means that you have to eat faster, which means unhealthy break.
Yeah, one question regarding PhDs and companies. I think there's still a bit of a vibe that PhDs are sort of considered overqualified for many companies, and so companies don't really want to hire PhDs. And in reverse, what makes students attractive to do a PhD if they want to go to industry?
Yes, I'd like better companies, and they have to start from somewhere. Those better companies should be able to value PhDs, and that means that possibly some of the PhDs people should start those companies or be in the managements. And what the government is doing in Estonia very clearly is in some of these applied research funding programs, they very clearly only fund the stuff where there are PhDs somewhere in the team. If there aren't, not really science, is it? The sort of the feasibility of you actually doing something based on science suddenly drops if you have a team composed solely of non-scientists. So yes, there's several assumptions to what I'm telling here. I try to go a bit deeper and lower and try to address the prerequisites, but yes, obviously I don't have all their answers. Otherwise, I might be the minister, which I'm not going to be.
Thank you.